Here's something I'd like to note on the thrust washers or thrust bearings. These are the ones on the fifth main bearing journal or fifth main bearing block. You can see that there's just these 3 touch points on each one of these. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So these two go to the, I believe, to the front, and this one goes to the rear. As you engage your engine and stuff, it wants to push everything forward, so they put these thrust washers in here, or thrust bearings, and those are supposed to be where it takes up the wear instead of chewing up your crankshaft. But you can see here that there's very little pressure been applied to these. This one here, barely at all. Now, this thing had sat for like 2 years in a field after it burned, and you can see there's some corrosion there. On the top of that one. So this was obviously the top one of one of these. I think they fared very, very well. But the new ones went in nice and tight, like you would think. I have to go 0.002 on that, 0.0015 maybe, I forget now. I have to go do the feeler gauge deal and get them where they are. But these came out and the new ones went in. If there's very little wear on this, I can't imagine that they would be out at all, because the thickness of these are the same as the brand new ones that I put in. So that's just another thing to note there. Okay, so now you get to watch me do this crap. What you're looking at is the oil pump. Now, this is a rather interesting oil pump, if you ask me. Just for the simple reason that there's multiple pieces. Now, I have 2 pieces. This is the sump. This is actually the pump part of it. And this is what supplies the oil up through the block. And then there's tubes that come out of this one. So one is pressurized and one goes to one side. The other one goes up through these 2 tubes come down through the oil cooler from the side of the block. Pretty simple, but more complicated than most that I've seen, because there's actually tubes, which I have over here. So here's these tubes that go in there. Now, sometimes it's a good idea every time to take a look at your tubes, because if these tubes start to get excessive wear like these have, which I'm a little bit concerned about. I'm a little concerned, I'm not overly concerned, because, well, I'm now concerned to the point where I'm going to have to replace these. I got to replace these. Alright, so what happens is on these mating surfaces where this thing rubs in the block, because they do rub in the block, this one looks like it has rubbed through the sealing surface right here. And what that's going to do is cause it to either cavitate, suck air, which could be more than likely why this engine failed. Cavitation, sucking air. If it didn't supply enough oil to the engine. So I'm gonna have to get a hold of John Deere and get these ordered. This one here as well, both of them. This one and that one. They've both got wear on these tubes. Oh shit. Anyway, okay. So that kind of screws the pooch there, because what I was going to talk about was changing out these O-rings. Each one of these, it has 4 O-rings in total. 2 in here, 1, 2, and then this one here is right here. And then this one goes up into the engine block, where it shoots the oil back up to the top of the head and around the crankshaft and all the neat little places it needs to go. I haven't replaced this one yet because, well, let's face it, I haven't been under there. Joe is under there replacing or scraping gaskets. So what I'm going to do is put this guy back in its nice little plastic sheath there, and I'm going to scrape this gasket off of here, and then I'm going to call John Deere and order up these 2 tubes once I get my parts book out. Now, if this was aluminum, I would not be doing this way, but because aluminum sucks. You'll score right through the damn stuff. Holy smokes. Oh yeah. So what I use for a scraper is just a 1.5 inch wide scraper, putty knife, and I sharpen the edge.
I found the other scraper.
No, you didn't. I found the other scraper.
Where was it?
In one of the tractors.
Well, I found that one that was laying out in the barnyard.
When? 2 days ago?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I think I might have took it off of there.
I'm going to use a razor scraper.
Careful on that aluminum with that.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. This gasket is really cooked on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the camera off as I deal with this.